Wire enablers such as Android, iOS, Windows Phone, HSPA+, LTE, and near-field communications, why are they important to us? Well, the answer is because they help to enable the primary driver of the wireless industry in today, and that's mobile applications. And that's what we're all here for. The WAMM Awards were created by the Wireless Technology Forum, or the WTF, to recognize the best of the best in the wireless application and mobile media industry. Tonight, we'll be recognizing people and companies that are responsible for setting the bar in the mobile application space. With the overall winner of the Best Application of the Year, will be granted a special pass by the GSMA to the Global Mobile Awards in beautiful Barcelona, which is part of the Mobile World Congress, the largest mobile event in the world. And thank you also to our sponsors, who, without them, we wouldn't be able to have this event tonight. Please give it up for our sponsors. And now I'd like to introduce our Master of Ceremonies for tonight's awards, Jeff Mucci. Jeff, before he comes up here, let me give a little background. Jeff's the CEO and the editorial director of RCR Wireless News, the leading wireless publication.
One of our strategies is working closely with local companies like Wireless Technology Forum. So Richard, thank you so much for having me. We have three great keynote speakers tonight. The first one is Cameron Clayton of the Weather Channel. The second is Ian Geller of Pandora. And the third is Jay Lee of ESPN. We have a great group of nominees and a great group of sponsors and partners in the room. And again, really appreciate everyone coming out tonight. Let's get started by introducing our first speaker, Cameron Clayton. As Executive Vice President of Products, Cameron leads the teams responsible for mobile and digital applications, interactive television, consumer applications software, international efforts, and product development for weather.com. He oversees TWC's mobile product portfolio, which includes the #1 weather application on Android, BlackBerry, iPad, Palm, and is the #1 iPhone app in 2009, according to Advertising Age magazine. Under his leadership, TWC's mobile product line has become a recognized industry leader and one of the top application developers in any category they serve. Previously, he was Director of Sales and Marketing for a regional internet service provider and Director of Business Development for MSN in New Zealand. He speaks a little bit funny. That's because he's a native of New Zealand, and he's been in the United States since 2001, lives here in Atlanta with his family. Please join us.
Thanks very much for having me. The Weather Channel's household name. We've been around actually 30 years this coming May, so it's sort of a big milestone for us. The digital products launched in '95, and we actually started mobile in '99, and so launched the first mobile website in '99. So the number one thing that, I sort of have a list of sort of bullet points because we've only got a few minutes here. Number one thing I tell people when I'm talking to them about mobile in particular is don't be arrogant, because I think both individually as companies, customers, the operators, and as an industry, I think we're running really, really fast. But one thing that often gets forgotten is consumers and their privacy. And we're sort of currently as an industry riding a little bit roughshod all over consumers as it relates to privacy. And we need to be really, really careful because the government will intervene and that will slow down the explosive growth that most of the people in this room are experiencing. So don't be arrogant. Also, half my the logos on here are actually in the room. But don't be afraid to innovate. The Weather Channel, is sort of uniquely positioned. We think about ourselves as a platform, but we're also a content publisher. So we sort of sit in this unique sort of sweet spot between major brands like ESPN and CNN and the Weather Channel that produce recognizable content that's available on multiple screens. We also see ourselves in a similar way to Google and Facebook in terms of as a platform. We make our content available to every device, every screen. We have APIs that are freely available. We have hundreds and hundreds of thousands of products and services all over the world using our content. So don't be afraid to innovate. Don't put fences up necessarily around your content. ESPN sort of doesn't agree with that necessarily. But don't be afraid of cannibalization. I think this is something, especially for us as we started getting into mobile, that came up again and again, is, you're going to cannibalize weather.com. Well, when weather.com started, we're going to cannibalize the TV network. The reality is none of that's happened in practice. We have 100 million TV subscribers. We're a top 20 website. We now, second most downloaded app on iPads behind iBooks. We're 50 million downloads on smartphones, and we're the fourth largest mobile website in the United States with 33 million uniques a month, as well as weather.com, which does about 85 million uniques a month. So the point of all those numbers is not to sort of say how big we are, but more to say, you can enter multiple categories, multiple devices, multiple screens, and it doesn't take away from your core business. Also, don't be afraid to stretch your brand. Here's a little video clip we did earlier this year in the summer, mostly for ourselves, but it really sort of resonated with consumers. I'll play this really quick.
Everybody can use a vacation, but sharing it with the Weather Channel's Jim Cantori can be a little unnerving. We get it. Usually when Jim shows up, bad weather isn't far behind. But can't the guy get a break when he's on a break?
Every vacation.
Catch the Weather Channel's Jim Cantori all summer long. Just hopefully not on your beach.
So we got a lot of feedback, as you can imagine, about that spot, which we obviously ran on our various products and platforms. But really the point is, don't be afraid to experiment, try new things, stretch the liberties of your brand a little bit, and see what happens. And that applies to small businesses as well as large ones. Mobile's still in its infancy. Don't be afraid of the consumer. Sort of embrace their expectations. Be laser focused on what your consumers are looking for. Not necessarily what they tell you they're looking for, but what they do in practice. Look at their behaviors. If you give them a device, what do they actually do with the device when you get it is totally different to what they tell you they do with the device in practice. And so, it's really, really important that you actually see what they do and then build to that, not just what they say they're going to do. But know your limits. We've overreached many times in the last couple of years in terms of development. We launched our first iPad app. We launched on the day that the iPad launched. We were a launch partner with Apple. We did 9 releases in 6 weeks to fix things in it. So just make sure you know what your consumer wants, but you also know where your limits are. It's working fine now. We actually launched a new one this morning for iPad users. Check out our new iPad app in the App Store today. And don't be afraid if it's not Angry Birds. There's still a huge amount of space in the mobile ecosystem. Utility is just as important as entertainment. You look at the categories here. We're very fortunate not only to be a well-recognized brand, but to be a well-recognized brand in the largest category in mobile app usage. But social networking, which is what everybody talks about with Facebook and all the other things, is pretty far down the list at 38% of all app users. So don't be afraid to experiment and try things in the mobile space. Also, don't be afraid to choose. I get asked a lot, should we do mobile web or should we do applications? And there's no right answer, but commit to one and do it really, really well and then expand if it's working for you. And if, when pressed on it, I always say mobile web first, because it works on all devices, all handset types, and then expand into applications. Don't be afraid of the process. The big platforms are really, investing a huge amount of money in content, and app developers are that's where the battle is for the platforms today. The major programmers, whether it's Apple, Google, Windows, not so much HP and Palm anymore, but BlackBerry definitely. They all want content. They desperately need it. That's what consumers are making purchasing decisions based around, is the content that's available on their devices. And so, it doesn't just have to be from big brands. They want, the latest utilities, the best games, and so, they will help you and go the extra mile to support you. So don't be afraid to reach out to them, even if you're a one-man, two-man shop. They really want your content. So just get to know the process. This is really one of the biggest battles is occurring is for talent in the mobile space. You probably all see that to some degree. We battle it every day. We have multiple open positions permanently in our mobile group as we're expanding. Developers, partners, mobile salespeople. Talent is one of the big sort of gold rushes that's going on in this space. So if you've got people in college or anything like that, tell them to study mobile app development, for the highest paid job you can get out of school right now. In fact, I was talking to a guy earlier this week that started Pulse, the iPad app. He's 21, was at Stanford. He did the app as a project for school, and then realized a week after he launched it, he had 1 million unique visitors to his app. Now it's 6 million a few months later, and is adding 1 million a month. And he's 21, just got VC funding by Sequoia to a pretty significant number. So, there's definitely talent out there. Other question we get asked a lot is, how are you going to make money? The answer for us is simple, but it's not as simple for the industry at large. But for us, it's primarily ad supported. At the end of the day, we're a media company. For us, it's all about building large audiences and monetizing them through advertising across all of our screens. But subscription is a huge business and is growing really, really rapidly. In mobile, today I was talking to Apple yesterday. They told me that 65% of all revenues in the App Store are now coming through in-app purchase. So they're free applications to download that you buy something within the application that you downloaded for free. Is where 65% of all their revenues are coming from. So there's definitely a large marketplace there. It's billions of dollars is occurring in that subscription part of the marketplace. But definitely look at in-app purchase, free applications that you buy content from within is the way to go. But this is something that people I talk to all the time. It's my favorite interview question. But products must satisfy important unmet customer needs profitably. That's what products are. And most people that apply for jobs in product management have no idea that that's what products are. And so as you're building them, thinking about them, trying to work on them, it's really important to sort of stick and remember the basics. Before this video plays, it's a few minutes long, so I'll sit down. But this is something that we're working on right now. We believe very, very passionately in. We call it the me monster, but it's personalization. And many companies in our space are getting very much into personalization. We call it the me monster because society has changed through social networking and just societal change in general, that it's not about one solution, us as the Weather Channel sort of speaking out one voice to many like the TV network does or has the capability to do. It's about trying to have that two-way dialogue, even if it's 350 million Americans having a conversation with a brand, we need to interact with every single consumer on a one-to-one basis. But this video is nothing to do with mobile. It's just fun, but you will never forget the meme monster, I promise, after you watch it. So.
I'm actually kind of quiet off stage. A lot of people don't realize that. I was at a dinner party recently. A bunch of people that I don't know. One guy talking plenty for everybody. Me, myself, right, and then I, and then myself, right, me. I couldn't tell this one about I, because I was talking about myself, and then me. Beware the me monster. So I tried to jump in with a little story. I don't want to just sit there the whole night. Right when I'm done with my story, this guy goes, "That ain't nothing." Well, didn't mean to waste everybody's time telling my nothing story. Here, let Marco Polo speak. He's back with tales of adventure. My story ain't nothing. Maybe it wasn't, because I made the mistake of trying to tell a story about having only 2 wisdom teeth pulled, and I learned a lesson. Don't ever try to tell a 2 wisdom tooth story, because you ain't going nowhere. The 4 wisdom teeth people are going to parachute in and cut you off at the pass. Halt! Halt with your 2 wisdom tooth tale. You will never complete one, trust me. I'm trying to tell my story. You know, I had some wisdom teeth pulled. I had 4 pulled. Oh, okay. No 5, no 9. I had 9 wisdom teeth pulled. All of mine were impacted. They were all coming upside down. The roots are wrapped around my tongue, coming out my nose. They were tusks. I was a warthog. No anesthesia. They pulled them out with pliers. I was eating corn on the cob that afternoon. Pin the blue ribbon upon his chest. That knocks the socks off of my wisdom tooth tail. Why do people need to top other people? I've never understood it, and I see it all the time. Obviously, people get something out of it. At best, people wait for your lips to stop. Yeah, as soon as... Okay, yeah, you, me! You, me! You see the difference? You see that? Now I do. What is it about the human condition? People get something out of that. That's why I have a social fantasy. I wish I was one of the 12 astronauts who have been on our moon. They must love knowing they can be anybody's story whenever they want. They can sit back quietly at a dinner party while some other person, some me monster's doing his thing, and let him go. Let him run with the line while you be quiet. Oh, really? Let him have his moment. Yeah, I'm a big traveler. I have my business. I got my own global enterprise I got to check. You know, driving in the Autobahn because I keep a fleet of sports cars over in Zurich, and I get a Swiss account that I want to check it. Mount Kilimanjaro expedition, might have to cancel that. You know, runways in Aspen are a lot shorter the first time you go in there. You know, the Pacific Rim Company, we're going to try to take that over. Global enterprise. I walked on the moon. Well, you have the floor, Moonwalker. You know, you mentioned driving on the Autobahn. That reminded me. Once I was driving in the Sea of Tranquility. In my lunar rover. And I too was worried about our speed till I remembered, wait, we're the only ones on the moon.
So like I said, it's nothing to do with mobile, but it's pretty funny. You know, you'll never forget the meme monster, but personalization really is one of the next huge things that's happening in mobile. And not to put Lewis on the spot, but I see him sitting in the front row. CNN just bought a company iPad app company called Zeit. I can't speak for them, but personalization, I would think, is a huge part of that story of that acquisition path that they've been going down. So, other thing I tell people is don't be afraid to get it wrong. This is the very beginning of mobile. I know it's exploding and it's doing really well and everything else, but we've really got no idea what the future holds between machine-to-machine messaging, between the fact that we have more subscribers than there are people in the United States to cell phones, and when you're looking at the penetration in Scandinavia, they've got like 3 or 4 devices each. We've got iPads and phones and everything else, and soon we'll have fridges and desks and mirrors and everything else that are all mobile. Just experiment. This is an opportunity that is very unique. I mean, Mary Meeker said it's the most transformational behavior change in history has come about through mobile devices. It's a pretty big claim, right? You think about electricity, automobile, it's pretty huge. But time will tell if that's right. But it's still really, really early. So don't be afraid to get it wrong. That's it. I think I'm out of time. Summary of the slides. Are we doing questions? Are we rocking? No? I'm done.
Thank you, Cameron. Great work at Weather Channel. My kids love it. I've got an 8 and 10-year-old, and I think between ESPN and Weather Channel, that's pretty much what all they're allowed to watch. So great work. And they're also the guys who showed me how to put those apps on my iPhone. Let's get started with our first award, which is the...
So we're wrapping it up here, and I just want to say thank you to AT&T folks that are here. AT&T, of course, provided us the facility here at this auditorium, and they also provide their support throughout the year to the Wireless Technology Forum and also for helping out WAMM. I'd like to thank the GSMA folks for giving us a spot again for the Best App Award, the Google Maps folks, and for the Global Mobile Awards in Barcelona. This is a really, really big deal. It's very hard to make it into this, and by the folks making this qualification, and hopefully it's one of our innovators next year, from this year will be back as one of our winners, and you'll be able to go to Barcelona and showcase to the world your application. In closing, what I'd like to do is to give a challenge to the developers that are out there to please keep making the cool apps that are out there, whether you're ESPN or whether you're Zeus Mobile or whoever else is out there. The consumers keep demanding more apps because it's demand that they're listening to. And last but not least, the device makers, if any of them are here, please bring us some new toys for the holidays this year. Good night. Thank you very much.